Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. I'm Fahima Mohammed, your host and relationship coach for tonight, and a very, very warm welcome from all of us here on British Muslim TV. Wherever you're watching, whether you're streaming live on Facebook or Twitter or watching on the screens on your Sky channel 752. We really do appreciate you tuning in, supporting us, sharing in your comments and queries and questions, and you are more welcome to even call in live into the studio and have a discussion with my guest tonight. Please make sure you ask the bill payer's permission, as standard network rates do apply. But if you do want to call in, the number is 01924231083. You can also use our free WhatsApp service and remain anonymous. With that, you can send in your questions and queries, and I'll read them out for my guest to answer. And that number is 07585-835-150. Please take the opportunity, as we do have some amazing guests on, and there's no different tonight, so that, you can actually have some of your questions answered, some of your challenges overcome, some of, tips and strategies so that you can actually maybe alleviate some of the issues that you may have tonight. We can do that live on the show, and we're taking calls all throughout for the next hour. The numbers remain at the bottom of your screen. Tonight, we're going to be discussing a topic around how to nurture confidence and emotional maturity in your marriage. Yes, it's a mouthful, and it's really, really important. And inshallah, with me tonight, we have Mariam Arafat, who is going to be sharing her ideas on this particular topic. Assalamu alaikum, Mariam.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're with us tonight, and especially because you are the marriage and also relationship coach, having lots of experience and lots of challenging clients that come to you with all of their case studies and stories. So I'm really looking forward to everything that you have to share with us tonight. Before we go into the topic, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Alhamdulillah, I want to really thank you, Jazakallah khair, for inviting me over here. It's an honor, it's a privilege, Alhamdulillah. And I'm really, really excited to talk to the audience, to share what I have learned with my experience over a couple of years, working with clients, with my studies, experiences in my marriage, and how building the confidence and emotional maturity, how it has helped my marriage and my client's marriage, alhamdulillah. A little bit about me. My name is, as you know, is Mariam Arafat. I live in UK with my husband and 2 kids. I am a certified life coach specializing in marriage, and to go more in depth, mainly on confidence building, empowering women to build confidence in themselves and become emotionally mature, so that they can be the backbone of their family. They can be the amazing support to their husbands. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given women so much of capability, so much of strength, but we fail to recognize that. And I was there. I was the one who failed to recognize it. And when I recognized, I gained confidence. My marriage changed, alhamdulillah. I've been married for 20 years. So I have lots of experience with and without the confidence. And marriage is beautiful. Marriage is very fulfilling. But due to lack of education in this area, I feel a lot of marriages are suffering. A lot of men and women both are suffering. And it shouldn't be like that. So my aim is to really empower women, and I mainly work with women, is to empower them and tell them that it's in you. You are capable. And when you go with that strength in your marriage, you become attractive to your husband in a different way. And it's a bit of a tricky thing, but it does. It does. You create your own values. You create your own worth. And subhanAllah, that's the miracle of confidence. That's what confidence gives you. Alhamdulillah.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that introduction. That's really inspiring. It's really motivating. And there's a lot of hope in everything that you've just said. But now that I've got you a little bit warmed up, we're going to get right into it. As you know, and anyone else knows when I question on the show, can you define confidence? A lot of people get really worried and scared about that word, especially in our Muslim community. In the Western world, it is kind of, sort of amplified, but not necessarily to an extent where it is in our Muslim community, because sometimes it could be looked upon as someone who is overly confident, like so into themselves, and it's not necessarily attractive when it comes to marriages and relationships. It's actually bringing out maybe a little bit of a masculine energy to the female, being overly confident, and the fact that a lot of the times being overconfident can actually make you lose out in having a relationship, as what I've heard a lot of the times. On the other hand, I've had clients who feel that lacking confidence, even over the age of 50. My recent clients, being married for, 30 odd years, and that has brought them down because they feel so drained after so many years of feeling walked over, not having that. So we need a balance, I think. So how would you define confidence so that we can actually get it straight, get it right, so it's also in line with our faith?
That's very well said, Fahima. And even I have noticed that there has to be a balance, because it's either it's too much in the wrong sense, or either it's too less. So what confidence is basically is knowing your strengths, knowing your abilities, knowing the qualities which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Basically knowing your unique fingerprint and knowing that your worth comes from Allah. Allah has created every one of us, and we are born with a purpose. So understanding that purpose. When we look at confidence, we look at that, that person who's going to be speaking loudly, he's going to be, or she's going to be confident. Or that woman who has a strong mind and stands up for herself, she is going to be confident. So I want to say one thing, confidence doesn't mean that you have to increase your volume or, talk loudly, because the person who talks loudly is actually not confident. Your confidence gives you so much of beauty in your character that you enter the room and you have that aura, you have that magnetic personality that subhanAllah, she has come or he has come. This is what confidence, that you recognize yourself, that, okay, this is my quality, this is my strength, this is my weakness, and this is me. This is what makes me me. Many times, especially women, go into the marriage being empty, not working on themselves. They don't know who they are. They don't know themselves beyond the labels. So they go in the marriage expecting the husband to fill that void. And then it becomes too much of attachment, too much of, clinging on to the husband, which is not confidence. It pulls you down. So confidence is you have to walk the path. It's not that, you have heard a motivational speech or you watch some video on YouTube, you read a book. They are good. They give you information, but then you have to walk towards that path. Whether that path is going to be rocky, whether that path is going to be shaky, it will shake you. It's going to really, I don't want to say break you, but it's going to test you in different ways. So you come out of your comfort zone and you go towards your goals that, okay, this is what I want to achieve. That is how you attain or gain confidence. It's nurtured. It's not just reading, okay, this is how I gain confidence. I've done this challenge. I'm good for now. No, you have to step up. You have to come out of your comfort zone. And why this is very, very important for women, because it helps them to know themselves in a better way. It helps them to know their strengths, their weaknesses, so that when somebody points out to them that this is not you or this is you, they know themselves. Half of the time, or most of the time, you don't know them yourself. So that's why self-doubt, limiting belief, all these things kind of creeps in. And when these things creep in inside a marriage, you cannot have a healthy marriage. Because to have a healthy marriage, subhanAllah, you need a strong foundation. And for that, confidence is so, so important.
Wow. Beautiful. The way you've described that, the way you've actually laid it out, it is absolutely wonderful. And I hope everyone's listening, because the thing is, I've never had that described in that way and defined in that way, because it really does home in as to what it really means. It's really about embracing yourself, you know, completely, regardless of your flaws, regardless of your shortcomings, and actually owning it. But you really have to have that awareness, and you have to be able to, you know, embrace yourself fully and know that there's continuous work to be done. But the fact that you are owning who you are completely and embracing it. I absolutely love that part where you've just said, you know, of how we need to nurture it, how we need to work on it continuously. I think that's so beautiful. And I think also the fact that you raised how people go into relationships wanting to feel confident because their partner has chosen them. And that's what gives them that confidence. There's quite a lot of us in society nowadays that require that. There may be women out there that are very, very highly professional, but unfortunately in their relationships, they do lack that confidence, thinking that unless they're chosen, then only they are someone who is of value and worth because it's of another person who's giving it to them. Yet if they're in the workplace, it's not like that. Now, Maryam, I'm going to ask you something quickly, and we are going to go into a break. Do you think it's different to have confidence between men and women?
Yes, there is. And both the way they project it is also very different. Man takes pride in being confident in like decision making, being the authoritative figure. And the woman, in her confidence, she takes pride in being the nurturer, being the carer, because that's what she's supposed to do. And even if she's working or she's a stay-at-home mom, that doesn't change anything. But
do you know, you've said something really important. And before we actually go into it, because I'm going to question you around what you said, I think it's very interesting. But inshallah, we will be back and we will be picking up on that question. And we're going to go into it a lot more deeper. Thank you so much for watching so far. Please do stay with us, because we are going to be coming back to discuss this a lot further. And inshallah, we'll be talking to you in a few moments. So don't go away. Stay tuned. Salam.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Questions on British Muslim TV with me, Mohammed Shafiq.
So critical, and it's so important for our younger generation to get involved in politics and run for office.
Is this vaccine, the various vaccines, halal?
No material which is forbidden in Islam is contained in this vaccine. So that's why it is absolutely halal.
मुझो नालो आ सकीना लिहाज़ गोठ में रहता हूँ। बरसात बहुत ज़्यादा पई, घर बुढ़ी या बच्चा वठी भगा से, सिर्फ बच्चा भगा से, कुछ न बचो, जायूं किरी पियूं कचूं हूँ, पेट ढवलाए था सिकऊं, मानी कॾहिं अचे थी कॾहिं नथी अचे, कॾहिं खाइनि था बच्चा कॾहिं नथा खाइनि, लटनि बिना खणी भगाऊं, पेरें उघाड़ा आहिनि बच्चा, बस तर तबाह थियो आहे, खटा भी कान्हनि, कुछ भी कान्हे, बेवाया थी लिखता हूँ घर खां। असांखे इदारे वारनि दाल ॾिनी, चांवर ॾिनऊं, गिहु ॾिनऊं, खंडु चांहि ॾिनऊं, साबुण तेल ॾिना अथऊं, पेस्टियूं ॾिनियूं अथऊं, बचड़नि जा तोलिया ॾिना अथऊं, जेके तड़ कराए असां साफ़ु करे विहायूं बच्चा। असांखे हर चीज़ इदारे वारनि ॾिनी आहे, अलाह साईं उन्हनि खे वधाईंदो। गिहु ॾिना अथऊं, हर चीज़ ॾिनी अथऊं असांखे।
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. Having a very interesting conversation tonight about how to nurture confidence and to emotionally be mature in your marriage. Now, it is definitely something that we have to work on, and nurturing means that it's a continuous journey and a path that we have to take. Before with the break, you were describing the differences of confidence between men and women. And I know maybe a lot of people might be screaming out there and saying, women also can make decisions. Women also can, have that kind of, masculine role. And it's not just about women nurturing. What's your response to that?
I've touched a tricky note on that. SubhanAllah, see, how I would describe it is that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us and given us different roles. Man as a provider, as a person who takes care, authoritative figure in the marriage. A woman, a nurturer, somebody who gives birth. She's full of rahmah. She's full of love as well. And there was a reason why Allah has given this job to a woman, that she can take care of the whole household. She can be the support system for her husband and be there for the kids. Now, this is how a perfect house looks like. Now, when I say perfect, there's no 100% perfectionism is not there. That's only with Allah. But we can strive to make our homes full of love, full of affection. And that can only happen when each person plays that role. So the man being the leader, the qawwam, the protector, the provider, that's his role. The woman being the nurturer, being there for the husband, accepting him in his role, and being there for the kids. The husband accepting his role to provide like he should and not overtaking. Now, sometimes life circumstances can happen, things can happen when a man can become soft and he needs that strength from the wife. Now, how can the wife provide when she doesn't have the confidence, when she lacks her decision-making abilities, when she lacks her own, she self-doubts herself so much. So when the husband needs her support, how can she support him when she doesn't have the confidence or the emotional maturity which is required? Because husbands, there's a reason why you are a husband and wife. It's to support, to be friends, to help each other make better decisions, to strive towards Jannah. So you have to walk along together. You cannot do it that one is doing it and the other person is not doing it. It's not how the car runs. I remember when I was small, I would always hear the analogy that the husband and wife are the two front wheels of the car. And I never understood what that is. I'm like, they're far apart, but how can they be together? But I can understand a little bit now that yes, you are far apart, but you have to walk the path. You have to drive through the path together. So holding each other's hands, going through the conflicts. You will not agree on everything. That's perfectly fine. No marriage is perfect, but having the ability to understand each other, where each other comes from, accepting each other in the perfect role, and accepting the real version of your husband and your wife, not the expected version that you have in your mind, because that also plays a big part in not you being fully present in the marriage, because you have married the expected version of your husband or the wife without understanding what the real woman or the man he is. So yes, going back to your question again, confidence for a man looks different, for a woman looks different, but both coming together, the relationship can become very strong. What do you think, Faima?
No, I love that. I think, it really highlights that there's teamwork and each one has a role, and I completely understand. And obviously, I play devil's advocate on the show. So I need to ask you questions from all angles and all perspectives, as it's not about my opinion. It's about getting everyone's opinion here. And inshallah, we will continue with these kinds of questions, and you've answered it very well. And I think it's important that we do address it from different angles, because there are many people who do struggle with it, and especially with nurturing confidence within oneself. Like, how do you do that? How can one who is sitting and watching right now saying, whether or not I'm single, or whether or not, even if I've been in a marriage for so long and I just do not know how to be confident. I feel that people are walking all over me. I feel like I'm not heard. I feel like, I'm less of a person and I do not have the confidence. How do you actually nurture confidence within yourself?
That's a good question, SubhanAllah. And I would say just start with what you have right now. Like, if you're listening after the show, maybe just sit with yourself and list down a few things about yourself. Like, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What is something uniquely about me that maybe my sister doesn't have or my friend doesn't have, which is only for me? And writing down your abilities. What are your abilities? What are your qualities? What are you good at? Confidence is gained while you are walking the path, like I said earlier. And it happens when you have very good self-awareness. Self-awareness is like, you know yourself. You know what is happening with you. You know your emotions. You know your triggers. You are aware that, okay, if I'm getting a headache, why is this headache coming? You are in tune with yourself. So sitting with yourself, doing a lot of reflective work. I would suggest journaling for that. If you can take up journaling, give yourself 5-10 minutes, either in the morning or at night, and just write down how your day was, how you felt, what went wrong, what went right. Some people call it, dear diary, or what I just call it simply journaling. It's like you are talking to yourself, and just write it down and see what you have written down. That's one way to get to know yourself. The more you know yourself, the more you know your abilities. Maybe you think, I want to take up cooking classes. I'm just giving an hypothetical example. That, I want to learn cooking. I'm supposed to get married. I want to learn cooking. You have done your best, but you cannot get the perfect curry. Maybe because you are more good at baking, and that is your forte, not cooking. Same was with me. I wanted to cook, but for me, baking came very easy. So that was my strength. My weakness was cooking, so I had to work on it. This is how you get to know yourself, that, baking comes to me easily. I can keep it. I can work on my cooking. Just giving you a small example.
Well, I'm definitely coming to yours for desserts. That's absolutely one thing for sure. No, I completely understand what you're saying. I think as coaches as well, we forget that a lot of us don't understand that when we are thinking a lot, it takes it away when you write it down. I think these techniques, very simple, practical tips, are important for us to understand ourselves, is to see it written down. So what you've said is extremely important, to write down your strengths and weaknesses. Know yourself when you're seeing it on a piece of paper, then you can analyze it a lot better. And that will actually make you see for yourself that actually, it's not as bad. Or, I need to work on this, that, and the other. So, it takes it away from the anxiety and stress and you thinking overall in general that you're just not good enough and you're not confident enough, when actually there's probably certain areas you're lacking in, but there are also areas that you are actually okay in. So definitely take that on board. It's also about having a little bit of belief in yourself and having a bit of trust as well, that actually you can do this, you can accomplish this. That's another reason and another way of you building confidence. Now we're moving on to the next section of emotional maturity. What is that, and how important is that in your relationship? First, define it for me as to what is emotional maturity, and do you think it comes with age? Does it come with experience? Does it come with different stages? And I think it's the same with confidence as well. Do you feel that you have to already be there? I mean, personally, I know I am still coaching women and men, where they're even in their 50s and 60s, much more older than me by far. And they still have this issue of confidence and, emotional intelligence and understanding of themselves and the other person. So what is your experience when it comes to age and stages, and what is emotional maturity?
I feel, for me especially, I had no idea what confidence was or even emotional intelligence was until a couple of years ago. And I didn't know what self-development was as well. It's only through life experiences, going through tough phases of my life, I started to learn about myself. So in my personal opinion, yes, life takes you through that path so that you become more aware of yourself and you gain emotional maturity. Now, some people very young, they have emotional maturity. Like you said, some people very old in age, like in 50s and 60s, and they don't have it. So I would say it's wisdom, or it's a gift which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses a particular person, because not everyone has emotional intelligence. And having said that, what emotional maturity is, like I said previously, it's gaining immense amount of self-awareness and self-regulation. Knowing your triggers, knowing why suddenly my stomach has butterflies. And instead of saying something is wrong with me, or I don't know what is happening to me, you say, I am excited or I'm nervous, and you calm yourself down. That is emotional maturity. And this is developed. You're not born with it. This is developed through life experiences, through practicing these skills. It's a muscle that you have to build. As simple as that.
No, absolutely. I completely understand and agree with that. And I think a lot of us are not actually aware. And what you said earlier about, unfortunately, we do complain about tests and challenges in our lives, but subhanAllah, when we actually go through it is actually when we grow. And that's when even I've had time and time again, including myself, when it comes to learning about yourself and when it comes to growing and developing, it is only really through that struggle. It's really through that drop and that fall. And sometimes even people have to break in order to build yourself. So just make sure that if you're going through anything right now that you're feeling is tough, it's only there as a springboard, only to lift you and to make sure that, inshallah, that you actually learn. Now, we are going to be continuing with this conversation, but we're coming into another break. Please do stay with me. We're going to continue shortly, and inshallah, we'll have more conversations, more questions for Mariam, and I hope to see you soon. Join me very, very soon. See you shortly. Salam.
Abdul Muttalib, the Prophet's grandfather, proposed to keep the name Muhammad, which means the praised one. The Prophet is a person whose illuminated face is used to draw rain from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is a sanctuary for the orphans and a refuge for the widows.
It is your light that we need.
Almost 150,000 Canadians a year will use a homeless shelter. These people need food, clothing, and access to basic hygiene. Fatima Zahra Helping Hand is a non-profit organization with the goal of helping the underprivileged in Canada. Along with our active support for recent immigrants and refugees, one of our ongoing initiatives is to feed and clothe the homeless. For more than a decade, we have provided hundreds of thousands of hot meals to some of the most vulnerable and needy. We continue these efforts with several monthly initiatives. For more information or to donate, please visit our website, nurmuhammad.com.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by singlemuslim.com. Having a very interesting conversation with my lovely guest tonight, Mariam, who is teaching us and telling us a lot about confidence and emotional maturity. And it's really, really intriguing, actually, as to how we need to have this and how important it is in order for us to build that real trust and real friendship and real sort of like team building between husband and wife, even though we have separate roles. But Mariam, do you think husbands like a confident woman?
Alhamdulillah, yes. Why I'm laughing is because I actually asked my husband the same question. I'm like, answer me this. Do husbands like a confident wife? And what do you mean by it? So, because I wanted to get his perspective, not just put my idea, my thought on it. And he said something interesting, which kind of opened my eyes as well. He said that, when a man leaves a house, he trusts his wife to take care of certain things. So when she is confident and she's capable, and by what he meant was like, one thing is that she is not easily inspired by other women or intimidated by other women. Like, she knows what she wants and she listens to her voice rather than listening to somebody else who might interfere in their marriage. She knows herself so much that she takes decisions herself. One thing was that. The second thing was that, he was like, it becomes easier to talk to that person because she's a wife. At the end of the day, when the man is coming home, it becomes easy for him to open up, to talk, because he knows that the wife is going to understand and is going to be there and going to listen to him. And the third thing he said was like, he knows that the kids are being raised in a beautiful manner. And there's nothing more important for a man from a wife that their kids are being nurtured and raised in a beautiful way. His house is protected. So that was like, okay, subhanAllah.
Wow. I love those answers, by the way. That's really, really wonderful to hear. And I'm so glad that you shared that with us. Do you feel that is also a little bit more attractive to the man when a woman is confident?
I think so.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, what else does it build in the relationship when a woman has that sort of way of being confident? Like you said, they take the decisions. They are obviously helping in the decision making. So again, it's going back to what you said before, even though we have our roles. But funnily enough, it goes back to the fact that women are still given that role and responsibility and that leadership. It's just that it's given in a different way, in a different format. But when you just go on full on, like, I'm the one that's in controlling the house, we are equal, we do this, that, and the other. It's not about that. It's about you, making your sort of print, but in a different kind of angle. And at the same time, you can actually take a lot of the responsibilities and the roles and the decision making, but it's just not as forceful and it's not as dominant. And it's not just like how especially in this Western society, like as if it's a given that, we have to come on really strong in that way. Even if we come on strong, but not in a sense that we are holding these like weights with us, because that's not attractive. We need to come in there in a different kind of format. Is that what you're trying to say, Mariam?
Yes, that is what I'm trying to say. And, subhanAllah, we have so many good examples in our seerah. We learn this beautifully from our sahabiyat. Like if you take Aisha radiallahu anha, the way she would question or she would ask questions from our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is so beautiful. And we have learned so much from her, the way she questioned, the way she asked. She was not shy. She would just ask. And from the examples of Salama, she gave a beautiful suggestion to Prophet ﷺ on the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. So being in that role, knowing what to do, and being that support system to your husband, honoring him and honoring his role as a man. And I want to emphasize as a man, because subhanAllah, we have challenges in our community. We have to accept those. But a true man is going to take proper responsibility. And the woman honoring that man and accepting his decisions, that's how confidence is also built in a relationship. It's built through trust. It's built through friendship. It's built through communication. Now, when there is lack of confidence or there is no emotional maturity and the woman is shaking, the woman doesn't know if it's the man who's saying is right or wrong because she has different versions of marriage in her head. How can she, be confident and support the husband? And the husband is craving for support. The husband is wanting the wife to pull up and come and stand along with her, not behind her, along with her, hand to hand. Now, for this, you need immense confidence. A woman needs to know herself that, okay, my husband is making a decision and he's asking me for a suggestion. And I have to answer. So telling him that, yes, what decision you have made, it's absolutely fine. It's great. And I'm here with you. This builds in strength in the marriage because the both husband and wife need to do it together. But lack of education, lack of so many things have come in our marriages that the meaning of marriage is lost. It's like, we take it as a threat that if I submit to my husband more, or if I say yes to my husband more, he will overtake me. I say if a man truly knows Allah, or if a woman truly knows Allah, they will not overstep their roles. Because they know Allah is watching, and Allah is in the center of the marriage. And between the husband and the wife, the third is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is always watching.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, absolutely. Because I think listening to all the problems that are happening right now and the marriage breakdowns is that there is a lack of faith between two people, because we do find that what you're describing, unfortunately, does not exist as much anymore. Women are having to force themselves to take on those roles more than even confidence, more than leaderships, because unfortunately, there are many men who are not stepping up. And there are also many men who are suffering because a lot of women, again, are not actually having that way of being as their roles in the household, to be that team leader and player, as well as someone who is going to be together to support and be part of that household. So what you said is extremely, truly crucial as to what's happening in our communities. We have women that are complaining, where are the men nowadays? Where are our providers and our protectors? And the women, also, where are the women? They're becoming more and more overly confident, more and more masculine, and things like that. So how do we get rid of this issue that we're having, and why do you think it's existing? Because it's becoming so prevalent, it's becoming more and more normal that even having a conversation like this, I'm sure, is quite triggering to a lot of men and women watching out there, because they're going through what they're going through, and I know what they're going through, and I can completely understand. That's why I'm questioning it in this way, because I get that sometimes you cannot perform in the way we're speaking right now. You cannot feel that you can be practical in the ways that we are giving you these tips right now, because the balance isn't there. The men's role and the women's role is not there. How do we start from scratch and build this community again and have those sort of successful relationships, Mariam?
Yes, unfortunately, it's true. It's happening a lot, and a lot of good people are suffering. Number one is lack of education. Lack of education, I mean, from the deen point of view, understanding your role as a husband and wife. Lack of inspiration. This is what I suggest my clients with, that you want to learn how to develop relationships, how to learn about emotional intelligence, is you pick up seerah. You start studying the life, you start reading the life of our Prophet ﷺ, and learn about the interactions he had with his sahabas and the sahabiyat. Now, people will say that was 1400 years back, and what is happening now, it doesn't go. No, it perfectly goes. It perfectly goes. SubhanAllah, we learn so much from the seerah. The third thing is educate yourself. Go and get courses done, premarital, and even where you are in your marriage, whether it's 20 years, 25 years, 15 years, 5 years, educate yourself, learn about it. There's so many books, there's so many coaches out there. Learn about it. And whether it's a man or a woman, you have your own responsibility. It's just not the wife's responsibility or the husband's responsibility. If the couple is not ready to go for couples counseling, it's fine. You take up, whether you're a man or a woman, you take up responsibility and go because you want to save your marriage. See the goodness in your husband or your wife and be grateful for that. And ask Allah to grant you a way out. And by what I mean way out is to guide you and provide for you, open doors, because we have to strive. And remember that no marriage is perfect. No marriage is free of conflict. You will have conflict. You will have disagreements. You will have different choices. But that doesn't mean you give up on the relationship which Allah has made so beautiful, because marriage is beautiful. It's so peaceful. It brings joy and comfort. Unfortunately, for some, it's not. But that doesn't mean it's the end. You can always start back, start new, have faith in yourself, believe in yourself, and educate. Be in those circles where, people guide you to good. Because sometimes family members, unfortunately, cannot. Friends cannot. They pull you down. They push you into the comparison mode, where you start doubting your marriage just by seeing the other person happy. You don't know what's going on in their life. So constantly evaluate your marriage, work on what's missing in your marriage, and take one step. Start small. One step today, building up. It's going to become so big. And inshallah, Allah will guide you. Allah guided me. I've been married for 20 years. For 15 years in my marriage, I don't know what I was doing. Being very honest, I'm telling my clients, even on my Instagram, I am like this. 15 years, may Allah forgive me.
Wow. You are amazing and inspirational already. And you know what? I can't wait to come back to the final part of the show to discuss a little bit more about what you've just said. And thank you so much for sharing that with us, because it is a struggle. And we do need to take that work and take those steps to make sure that we do the work. So inshallah, we will be back for the final part. Please do stay with us and we will continue in a few moments. See you shortly. Salam.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Questions on British Muslim TV with me, Mohammed Shafiq.
So critical, and it's so important for our younger generation to get involved in politics and run for office.
Is this vaccine, the various vaccines, halal?
No material which is forbidden in Islam is contained in this vaccine. So that's why it is absolutely halal.
Looking for the perfect place to host your next event? Gifto's Lahore Kadai Banquet is here to make your event mesmerizing for you and for your guests. Catering for up to 180 people with extravagant ambience for all kinds of events like birthdays, weddings, henna, family function or anniversaries. Indulge your taste buds with authentic and freshly prepared Pakistani cuisine on site and delight your guests with elegance. For booking, contact Gifto's Lahore Kadai.
असांजे मींहं वसिया ॾाढा असांखे ॾाढो परेशान थियासीं असांजे ॿोॾ अची वई घर खां बेघर थी वियासीं असांजूं जायूं किरी पियूं कुझु न रहियो असांजो सखणा सिर वठी असां निकिता आहियूं उतां बच्चा असांजा मज़ूरी कंदा आहिनि त खाईंदा आहियूं जे न कंदा आहिनि त असां कॾहिं चुल्हो बि न ॿारींदा आहियूं असां सां इहे मजबूरियूं आहिनि पोइ हिते वेठा आहियूं अची खीमा ॾिना अथऊं खीमनि में वेठा आहियूं असांखे अटो मिलियो खाइण जो सॼो ई राशन मिलियो जेको असां खाईंदासीं जंहिंमें हर शइ मौजूदु आहे उन में थांव बि किचन जा सजाई असांखे ॾिना अथऊं असांजे भाइरनि जी महिरबानी आहे उनमें बाल्टियूं ने बदना ने अलाह उन्हनि भाइरनि खे अञा गंज ॾींदो असांजी ईअं मदद कंदा
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by singlemuslim.com. We are here on the final part of the episode, so thank you so much for staying with me. And inshallah, we will be answering some of your questions which has come through. I'd like to start off quickly, Mariam, by asking you this question from one of our viewers. As we were discussing about, previously before with regards to men and women's roles, the question is, would you say men are becoming more feminine in a way that they don't want to provide and refuse the responsibilities that has been written by our faith and creator, that may be the reason why women are forced to become more masculine? What's your thoughts on that? Thank you for the question, by the way. Very good question.
Good question. Jazakallah khair. Unfortunately, it's on the rise. And it's something very scary. I'm also scared because even I have a son. And what I can do moving forward is raise my son in a way that he knows his responsibility. Because I can only do what's in my hand and help my clients to raise their sons in that way that, they take up those responsibilities and understand the meaning of being a husband. There's a reason why it's happening, and may Allah protect us from it. But like you said, women are becoming more masculine and they want to be able to help themselves because they're not getting it from the males, which is unfortunate. It's on the rise. And I pray that we can work together more on a communal level, collectively, to help overcome these things, teach our men, teach our young generation to take up responsibilities and not be shy or not run away from it. And for women also to be confident and being there for themselves, but also helping them and supporting them, inshallah. What do you say, Fahima?
I love that. No, it's a really, really honest answer. And I thank you so much for that question, because it is something that is more and more on the rise. And you can't blame certain individuals for being in the opposite roles that they play because they're forced into it. A lot of breakdown in marriages have forced, for example, a lot of women to take on the roles more than they should, because, there isn't the responsibility male figure and role model in the household. So they've had to take on that. And even divorces that are happening, a lot of the times is blamed on the women when actually they have been putting up for years. I just had a comment before the show saying, I'm thinking of leaving. And I'm like, please work at it. And they're like, well, I've been working at it for 20 years. How much longer do I need to work at it? What do you say to someone like that? There's patience, and there's also where it's going to affect your mental health and also disrupts the children. So these are real issues that we are talking about right now. We're not saying that marriages should be there to stick by till, for no reason whatsoever. Of course, there is a cutoff point, but we need to sort of raise these issues so that hopefully people can wake up, even if they are in the wrong. Even if they feel they're lacking in their relationship. If you feel that you are a husband or a wife that is not putting their weight, well, wake up, step up. You need to. It's not just for yourself. You're going to be questioned about this. You are responsible for your household, for your wife, for your husband, for your children, for your family. It is definitely something that's on your head that you need to really take accountability and take very, very seriously. Don't take it lightly. So these conversations are here to give you the highlight, not to build this picture perfect scenario, but for you to wake up, look at yourself in the mirror and assess. That's more important. Mariam, when it comes to confidence after many years of marriage, do you think that can be built after a routine and, and build that spark, even though it hasn't been there for many years?
The spark can definitely come, even if it was not there in initial years or even after 20 years, 25 years. The spark only comes when you know how to connect, when you know how to bond with each other. And And that can happen at any time because marriages go through different stages. Some people have that in the honeymoon phase or, after 10, 15 years. Marriages go through different phases. Sometimes it feels like autopilot. That's why it needs constant work. It needs constant evaluation. It needs constant checking in that, okay, what has worked in the past 6 months? What has worked in the past 1 year or 2 years? And how can I work on a particular thing moving forward? And many times we think it's more of materialistic things like, then date night. That is good. That is healthy. But if you cannot go on date night or if you cannot go on vacation, that does not mean you cannot bring the spark in your marriage. No, your bedroom is enough. Your home is enough. Your car is enough to have that connection. As long as you know how to do it, as long as you're having those conversations where you both look at each other and you're like, you smile with gratitude that he is there, he's a blessing, or she is there, she's a blessing. And that fills my heart. And it's not a fairy tale. You might be thinking it's fairy tale. It's not. It has happened in my clients' marriages where the husbands have appreciated the woman, how they have changed, how they have worked on themselves with respect, with sincerity, with hard work. And so, I know this works. Just working on yourself, believing in yourself, and thanking Allah for every single thing, whether it's a trial, whether it's a blessing. Because when you are in a tough situation with your husband, instead of going on the negative, make dua for him. Ask for guidance.
Absolutely.
For yourself.
Absolutely. But I also hear a lot that, there's a lot of women that are working on themselves. There's a lot of women, and I'm not here to just be one-sided. This is statistically, even in the Muslim community, you find more and more women coaches. You find more and more women that are trying harder. They are actually wanting to build that family. They actually don't want that divorce. A lot of the times they are forced into it majority of the time. So it is also unfair that when we say things like, the women have to be there to, build and lift, because it seems like all of the work and all of the burden is on her shoulders. What do you say to someone like that who feels like that, why does it have to be me all the time? Why is it always has to be the woman that has to be the one making the effort? When is he going to have his turn? When is he going to actually make a difference? Is it just is it that easy for him, and then he just goes about his day? What do you sort of respond when women come to you saying that? Because I hear that a lot.
Yes, definitely. I hear that a lot. And I was there in that place. And I was like, why should I? I'm doing everything fine. He needs to change. He needs to work on himself. I even asked my husband that we should go and see a counselor. And he was like, there's nothing wrong. What I've understood is that men work in a different way and women work in a different way. Women are more in tune with themselves. They are more emotional. They know how to say, I'm sad, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling frustrated. Men are not raised in that way. Men are raised as the breadwinner of the family. And they have said, okay, boys don't cry. Boys are not built for that. They are kept outside the house. They are not in tune with what's happening inside the house. This happens a lot, maybe not 100%, but yes, 50%. They are not given that vocabulary, or they are not given the space to express themselves. That's why they don't know what is happening. And going and speaking to a stranger about themselves, about their personal life, when they don't speak about it to themselves, how can they do that? Women can openly say and talk about it because women talk, they are comfortable. But men, they talk about what? Politics, sports, cars, maybe weather, or I don't know, these 3-4 things they talk about. But feelings, no. It's an embarrassment if a man talks about feeling or if a man cries. and how our deen teaches us. And you said about carrying the burden. The only example that comes to my mind is Hajar alayhi salam. She was left alone because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew her strength. Now, I'm not saying everyone is like that, but it's just an example Allah has given us. These stories are for us women to learn. She's the mother, she's the wife, and how she supported and how her legacy is coming. Like, subhanAllah, Hajj is her
Beautiful.
legacy.
Absolutely beautiful. You couldn't have answered that any better, honestly. I think you've given us so much food for thought, Mariam. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. We have come towards the end of the show very, very quickly, but I want you to, end off with giving your details if anybody wants to reach you, as well as some final thoughts before we end the show, please, in a couple of minutes' time.
Jazakallah khair for having me. And I'm available on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I go by the name Mariam Arafat. Even on YouTube, it's Mariam Arafat, and Facebook, it's Mariam Arafat. And you can reach out to me, inshallah, and I will reply to you. My final comments and thoughts is believe in yourself. Take every opportunity to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it's a trial, whether it's a blessing, everything connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because there is a lesson in the blessing and there is a lesson in the trial. And when you are fixed, when you are stuck, just ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open doors for you and show you what He is truly giving you and opening for you. Because guidance comes from Him. Even in my marriage, I was not guided. Guidance came only through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Absolutely wonderful. Honestly, you've given us so much food for thought, lots of tips and strategies. I really, really appreciate you coming on tonight, giving us your time and sharing everything that you've said with us. Really, really grateful to you, Mariam. Have a wonderful evening and thank you so much. Please do stay in touch. Assalamu alaikum, Mariam. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to be hosting and, again, bringing on some wonderful guests to speak, sharing their insights, their knowledge, their experience, a lot of their own studies and learning, education, so that we can build strong household, meaningful relationships. And if you're struggling, inshallah, you will also be able to overcome this very, very successfully. Please do take time to rewind if you've missed anything, take notes, and inshallah, we will be back same time next week, and we will be having more conversations around relationships. Please do continue to send in your messages, your comments, and all of your suggestions, and we will see you shortly. Take care. Have a lovely evening. Good night. Salam alaikum.